Jamie's sitting on life. She's sitting on Life 360, and she's like,
and he knows that.
and she's like stalking the kid. Like, where did he go? Did he leave his room today? Why?
Down low. We're better than that. All right.
Who knows what's gonna come out of her mouth?
That's why I have it going.
Snowing in northern Indiana.
Don't be dumb. So for 2021 for our family.
Well, this is really hard to say as a parent.
No, it's not. It's,
I'm a mom, you're a
it's-
dad.
when you have kids, you're never alone. Don't waste your parenting experience by feeling guilty and bad about yourself sometimes. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Parenting is hard. That's it.
Oh my goodness. Welcome back to episode 1 of like the living room sessions. And so gave a quick teaser last week. This week we wanted to jump into to something that like we're not experts about.
No, we're not experts about anything.
I mean, you're pretty good. I'm okay. But we're definitely not experts. And what we're not experts in is what?
Parenting young adult children.
Which is way different than parenting a 2-year-old. I mean, sometimes young adult children still throw fits.
I mean, we still throw.
I still throw fits. Yes, I think I probably threw one yesterday, if not this morning. But parenting young adult children is super different than parenting any other age of kid, whether it's a toddler, which they've got tons of books about, and we read. What middle school age kids, high school age kids. It's just super different. And for me, at least, I know we've talked about this, when the young adult years hit, and for us, it didn't really hit until like Carter went to college. Like he was a young adult when he hit 18. Morgan just had her birthday,
Yeah.
February 19th, and she's 18. We have 2 young adult children,
Right.
2 adults in our house. And it's crazy. And so for us, the parenting young adult children didn't really hit until our kids were until Carter went to college.
Right. And so we've been we've been processing this for 2 years. So we are not experts, but like when you have little babies, you talk with other friends who have little babies and you learn from each other. And so we thought we could just share a few learnings in the last 2 years of parenting young adult kids. And yeah.
Yeah. And so when Carter went away to school, so we had this anticipation with college that we would be sad when we dropped Carter off at school. And so
Right.
like for us, it was a full, a year of preparation where we visited Liberty University and did all the things, football games. We wandered onto a baseball field and got promptly kicked off the baseball field. We did college for weekends. Like we did all the prepping stuff. And then when it came down to that 10.5-hour drive out to Lynchburg, Virginia, by the way, we live in Indiana, 10.5 hours away. We knew that there was going to be crying and sadness.
Right. You're so excited for their next adventure. You can't wait for them because you know what all they get to be a part of. But you anticipate how much your family's going to change and what day to day looks different. You're setting the table for 3 people instead of 4 people. With your child's involved in a lot of activities, like Carter is a soccer player. So our nights consisted of a lot of soccer games. Well, that's a huge adjustment when you come back and there aren't soccer games anymore.
We found ourselves going to high school soccer games the fall when Carter went to college. And it was just like, it was kind of surreal. It was like, all right, no, yeah. It was weird. It was.
But now we don't really the students.
No,
It'd be super weird.
It'd be really weird. We still knew some of the players, but it still was kind of just strange.
Right. So you anticipate all of those things.
Yeah. What we didn't anticipate after we dropped Carter off and we cried and wiped our tears from our eyes is what 3 hours into our trip, maybe 3 hours.
Right.
Maybe 3 hours. We went from Virginia. I don't even think we got out of Virginia yet. Maybe hit West Virginia. Maybe. We get a text from Carter, and it simply said, "I have no friends
Here.
here
Right. Yeah.
at school." Mind you, we just dropped him off. He had been on campus for 48 hours, not even yet. And it was a gut punch.
Right, and if legitimate, like, it felt to him, and maybe so, that a lot of students already knew each other, they already had friendships, and here he is 10 hours from home, his choice again, 10 hours from home, doesn't know anybody.
And it was, for him, I mean, that's courageous.
Right.
He left what he knew, what was familiar, and took a track that God was calling him to. And that, even though he knew like that was the place for him, because there was never a doubt in his mind, even going through that emotion of that, where he was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here.
No.
He was like, this is where God's called me to be. It might be hard for a little bit, but this is where I'm staying. And when I look at him as my son, I'm like, that took some courage.
Right.
Like, I look up to him.
Right.
Like, seriously look up to him. And so for us, it changed a whole bunch of things. It didn't necessarily change a whole bunch for him, but we got home and Jamie's sitting on she's sitting on Life 360, and she's like,
And he knows that.
and she's like stalking the kid. Like, where did he go? Did he leave his room today? Why didn't he leave his dorm room today?
Which I do not
It's only 9:00 in the morning.
I do not stalk Carter or Morgan really on Life 360 anymore. We had just dropped him off, and in my mind, if he was sitting in his room, he didn't have any friends. So he needed to be out and about doing something, had a greater chance of meeting people and having friends. And so I would just check in to see if he'd left his room. And he knows this now, and he laughs about it.
Oh,
and,
for sure.
And yes, our kids still let us follow them on Life 360.
I mean,
We can have a whole episode about Life 360. I know there's a lot of debate about that and your students' privacy and all that.
we haven't even talked about it, and
Right,
they don't care.
right. But for us, for our students, it's been super helpful as they're learning to drive. And so Carter still allows us to see his location. And so um, I was just making sure that he was leaving his room.
Well,
Because for me, it made me feel better to
Yeah.
know if he was meeting people and doing.
doing things. It's like a comfort blanket.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, he went to to go work out, or he went to the football game, or he had classes. He actually got out of his bed and went to class. And
Right.
it's like he was interacting with people,
Right.
which was super helpful for us, because we're 10.5 hours away. And so our question becomes, how do you parent a young adult child who is so far away?
Right. And how do you help them? Because
Right.
it looks different. You spend 18 years of their life, especially when they're young, meeting every one of their needs. They cry, they must be hungry, tired, or need a diaper change. It's pretty simple
Yep.
when they're a baby.
And you provide for their needs.
Right. And when they're in elementary school and they come home sad because somebody was mean to them, then it's still hard, but you can help them navigate it. It feels like there's this false sense of control that you have when they're younger in your house. We really have no control over anything.
Zero.
I mean, we learned that for sure when they were young, but when they're now away and navigating hard things, it feels harder to help them. And for me, one of my love languages is acts of service. And so the way I show love and I try to be helpful is solve problems. So if someone's having a bad day or something's going on or I have no friends, then I'm giving 101 suggestions on how to make friends in college, which wasn't helpful for him at the time. He
No.
knew all the right things to do. He just wanted us to sit in that space of him saying, I don't know anybody yet. I went 10 hours away and I don't know anybody. And this is a transition and it's hard.
Yeah.
And so
And the way I help, I jump on the emotional roller coaster and I feel for them, and it doesn't help at all. Doesn't help
well, I
me,
do that too,
doesn't help
but
them. It's just, yeah. So parenting young adult children is way different than parenting other children.
What do you mean by you
face it.
jump on the emotional roller coaster? What does that look like for you?
Oh, for me, I mean, like, if Carter or Morgan, more so Carter, because he's far away, I can't do anything. If he's stressed out about a test, I feel the stress. Like, I take the stress on.
And how does that make it better?
Feel terrible. Like, I want to go to sleep. It doesn't help at all because I get crabby, and then everybody at home, well, the two other people who are here,
And the dogs.
and the dogs, like, they experience my crabbiness, and it's just like everybody has these emotions, these roller coasters of emotions, and whether they're young adult children or not, it's not helpful to
Yeah,
get up on the
right.
roller coaster. And so, um,
I think, like, again, this is controversial, but when our kids were babies, we let them cry it out. Like, we sleep trained our kids. And I think
that hurt me so bad for the first couple times.
right, you were on that emotional
Yeah.
roller coaster too. Um, Anybody that shows sadness is hard for you.
I hate it.
You are
Can't stand it. Yeah.
you are more empathetic, or it appears. It just manifests differently with you than me.
Yes.
So there's times when they're younger that you make your kids do something like sleep train or whatever because you know it is going to reap huge rewards for not just you, but for them.
Yeah, we took Morgan's passy away when she was a year old.
Yeah, and she's
And
no, she was 2.
she was 2?
Yeah,
Oh, she was 2, okay.
yeah,
Well, but the point, she screamed,
right.
like, I'm not even like, bloody murder, like, I'm so angry at you. If I could hurt you right now, I'll
Yeah.
tell you too, if I could hurt
There's a
you.
video of it.
Yes, we have a video. Like, I will, like, she was mad.
She was, but you like when they're younger, you can somehow it was easier
Yeah.
to say that's okay because this is going to help them
It's a training.
develop and
Yeah.
mature and whatever. It's harder when they're, for me at least, not for everybody, again, and we're not experts, but when they're away and you can't step in and help, but you know that this process of being alone 10 hours from home, not knowing anybody, is actually developing them in the same way that those other things were.
Yeah.
And so they have to have the feelings, they have to go through all that, so that they mature and develop as adults.
Yeah.
And that's the whole goal. That's what we were trying to do in all the things.
Yeah. And also, what if I jump on the emotional roller coaster, it inhibits my communication where I don't even want to talk about it.
Right.
And so how can I help if I don't want to talk about if I'm feeling it so deeply that, like, I can't talk about it.
Right.
I can't, I'm not going to solve it for him. And I don't necessarily even, like, want to solve it for him. So many of the when we jumped on the parent group for Liberty University and
To see what other parents were saying about their kids.
and there were hundreds of other people going through
Right.
the exact same thing, freshmen feeling the exact same way.
Right.
Some of the moms and dads on that group were like, I think we're just going to go pick them up and take them home. I'm like, whoa, no.
Right, or we're gonna go there this weekend and spend time with them.
I'm like, oh, no. Like, family weekend was 3 weeks after we dropped Carter off.
Right.
And we were like, I don't think we can go.
It's too soon.
It's way too soon. Like, at 3 weeks, he was like in the groove. And like,
Right.
if we go at 3 weeks, we'll train wreck everything. But for me, like, riding that emotional roller coaster, it just puts me in a funk. And like, I feel it so deeply that I can't talk about it.
Right.
I can't like even discuss it with you or anybody else. And especially with Carter, because it was just so the high was so high, but the low was like super low for me that I was feeling. And it's just not helpful for us to be able to, like, it just prevents me from being able to help him.
So how did you navigate that?
I think for me,
How do you not get on the emotional roller
yeah,
coaster?
I think like being connected with God and making sure that I stayed in scripture and reading scripture, and sometimes even like specifically looking for, like, through the Psalms about how David suffered and how he was agonizing and dealing with that. And so being able to relate to my pain within scripture was super helpful.
Mhm.
But then also, like, that Facebook groups, like, knowing that, oh, this is actually normal.
Right.
What Carter was feeling, whatever he was dealing with in that moment for those days was 100% normal. hundreds of students were dealing with that. And also, what are we going to do? Your first semester or first year, was it first year or first semester was paid for?
Oh,
That's-
by the time you go, the first semester,
Yeah, the first semester was
Yeah.
paid for. So guess what?
you're staying.
We yeah,
You're trying it out.
very practical reason. Yeah, Carter wasn't crying it out, but
No, I was going back
that's
to
a joke. Yeah, yeah. But very practically, like, we didn't ever have to tell him this because he already knew it. He didn't want to come home. We weren't going to pick him up practically because
right.
we'd already paid for.
Right. And so for me, not to go on that emotional roller coaster, I start looking at Life 360 or researching things and trying to help. And that helps for a minute, but then it doesn't. End up focused too much on that. And so I think recognizing that this is all a part of growing up and the process is that those feelings, I think knowing that those feelings are real
Yeah.
and taking them to Jesus and knowing that this is what we prepared for. Yeah, we're sad they're not home. That was sad. But helping them navigate those transitions is super hard, but it was good. And then now you can look back 2 years later and see the growth of and the development in your young adult who met new friends. After 3 weeks, he has the best of friends that he will have for a lifetime.
Yep, forever.
And he could have taken the safe route and stayed home. And there's nothing wrong with that for other kids, but for him, he knew he was called to go there. So he could have took the safe route, kept the same friends he had from high school, went to the school that all the high school kids go to and kept that same group. But he put himself out there and our job in that was just to support him and to pray for him
Yep.
and to listen to him
Listen,
and not try to fix it.
right.
And I think that's hard for parents to not try to fix things. And you're talking about this Facebook group.
Yeah.
And so I thought it'd be funny. Just I grabbed like 3 posts from the Facebook group, and not all of them are from Liberty. So this is not a slam on Liberty. A couple of are from another local college. My friend and I exchanged these. And so I thought it'd be funny just to see an example of some of these parent posts,
Right.
just to get a glimpse of how we as parents need to come alongside our kids and
Yes.
help them, but we no longer need to control
Right.
and to own their day-to-day.
Right.
Like, they
So-
need to have some level
Yeah.
of leadership and
So
responsibility.
much of what parenting is just in general nowadays is more than a helicopter parent. It's like an Apache helicopter parent where you're trying to like blow the obstacles out of the water to get everything out of their way so that they can be successful. Like,
Right.
and as far as like, especially the young adult years, like our job is no longer to be any sort of pilot, or we're no longer the player.
Right.
We ain't playing their game right now. It's our job to come alongside and
Yeah.
be a coach. And
Right.
so we got some players,
So-
want to be players.
So these are kind of funny, and these are some extreme cases,
Yeah.
but I gotta be honest, it's pretty often. So one parent asks, what school supplies do freshmen need to purchase? Is there a supply list? And that one just made me giggle because, again, like they need to own their school supply list. And I get we want to provide for them and help them. And every semester we ask Carter, like, what do you need for your books?
Right.
Do you need anything? Can we help buy you supplies? But we put the ownership on Carter to figure out
Right. This is no
what
longer,
supplies he needs.
yes, this is no longer a kindergarten class,
Right.
first grade where you're
There's
like,
a school supply list.
right.
for
We
college.
buy them a zipper,
A chamber keeper.
a zipper pen bag, yeah, a trapper keeper, a pencil box. What do we buy? Yeah. So that like,
Another parent asked, does anyone know if they have lockers on campus for commuter students? Between their books and their clothes and instruments, there's a lot for them to carry around all day. Again, what's so great about young adults is they get to figure out how to navigate
yeah,
problems that are age appropriate.
yeah,
They can figure out for themselves. Again, we want to advocate for our kids when they ask for help, but they can figure out for themselves
they need.
how to carry all their stuff
Yep.
all day long at college
That's a pretty.
where they don't have time to go back
Yeah.
to their room.
That's a pretty safe
right.
problem to be
Yeah.
able to figure out. Without, if they fail at that, their life's not over. Like, let them,
Right.
they can figure it out.
And then this parent asked suggestions on how my son should deal with a roommate who has strong BO and doesn't wear deodorant. I'm guessing he's aware because he's purchased a plug-in air freshener and it's not working. Again, I think in this funny scenario that made me laugh because I think it's our job to help. If Carter came to us and said, my roommate stinks, which Carter's roommates are awesome. They
They're
don't
great.
stink.
They're great.
If he did that, then we would give him talking points on what to do. But this parent is looking to actually help solve the problem rather than help her son solve the problem.
Who can I call? Who can I call?
There is a lot of that on there.
There is a lot. There's a
I'm
lot.
going to call the school tomorrow because my
My
son.
my kid couldn't get to convocation from his class in time and he was late. Who do I need to call?
Right. Like, we shouldn't be calling
Nobody.
about those things.
Nobody.
So
You don't call nobody. Nobody.
these are super funny. But the point of it is that our role has shifted with Carter,
Yes.
where if he says, I need school supplies, we're like, okay, great. What do
Yeah.
you need? How do we help you? It becomes more of this coach consultant role versus us saying, Carter, you need school supplies. Did you make your list? What do you need? Or let's go to the parent page and ask if there's a school supply list. We are no longer the drivers of it.
Yeah.
He is driving it, and we've come along to support him.
Yeah.
And especially in the little things, because like, these are great opportunities to grow in your leadership and independence and live on your own within a framework. Like,
Yeah. And honestly, this should really start even before college, as they're
yes,
getting into the young adult age. Like your parent, I was like, again, we're not experts, but we've tried to like not limit our parenting, but like tailor it to the age of our kid. And so, like with Morgan, like we're trying to make less decisions for her and asking her, "What do you think?
right.
Like, what do you think about that? How do you think this interaction that you have with your friend or your teammate or what? Like, how do you think you should respond? What do you this thing with your coach? What do you want to like? How do you want to handle it? We're not going to be Apache helicopter pilots where we're trying to blow the obstacles out of the water because at the point that at which you die, because everybody dies at some point, they won't have you anymore.
Right.
And you want them as much as possible to be able to overcome, adapt, run through, accept whatever the obstacle is in their life and do that on their own in a healthy way.
Right. And we want to be a sounding board. We want to pray for them. We want to walk alongside of them, but we are no longer driving it, especially these type of decisions.
Yeah.
And so it's just been, I know we have a ton more to learn related to that. And this whole series podcast could be on a parenting.
That'd be.
Like every week, every month could be a different topic. But this is just some of the things that we've learned over the last couple of years. And then it's interesting. So it's one thing to parent them when they're away at school.
Yeah.
And then they come home.
Back.
And they come back into the house. And especially if there's other siblings or other family members, the transition back into the house, like you just need to be aware of. So the first time Carter came home, like we wanted him to feel like he still had independence. He didn't need to just fall back into the same rules he had.
House our rules.
Right.
Like you're an adult. Like,
but you need to learn how to live well with other people. And so basically we just gave him a few guidelines like, hey, you can come and go as you please. Just kind of let us know if you're not going to be home for dinner or different things that we're planning as a family. And these are the 3 things we're doing while you're home. At Christmas, we're going to dinner with grandma or grandpa. We're doing this, that, or the other. And we'd like you to be there. Is that a problem? And we kind of just gave some high level
expectations.
Right. And hopes.
Right.
Like we would like for these things. And Carter was so respectful. Like at first he fell right back into his normal, like, oh, I should be home by 12:30 at night.
And I go to this friend's house.
He asked to use the car, things like that. And so we're grateful for that. But Carter felt respected by us that when he came home, that we respected that he's used to autonomy at school.
Right.
He comes back home, he shouldn't feel like he's once again a high school student.
Right.
But he still needs to be respectful. Like, you don't need dirty dishes all over the kitchen. You need to live well with your family.
Which is just basic rules for any place that he lives, whether it's college or home, or if he's at some point married with kids. Like there's just a basic way to live with people respectfully.
Right. But I think what went well for that situation is we had a conversation. So what do you expect, Carter? What do we expect? And it's gone well. And I just remember how hard it was for my mom and how hard it was for me when I came home from college, especially because my siblings were so much younger. And my mom's like, you're out so late. It's hard to go to sleep when you're out running around and things like that. And so we were just proactive with Carter having those conversations. And so those are just a few of the things that we've learned navigating
young adult children.
college age.
Yes,
Yeah.
college age, young adult children.
And we'll need to have a repeat of this episode in like a year
When Morgan goes.
when we have no kids at home and both kids are away at school, because Carter and Morgan are very
Two
different.
different people.
I mean, they look like they could be twins. They don't
Yeah.
like that.
No.
They look like they could be.
Right.
They're not. And their personalities are completely different.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how Morgan
Yeah.
reaches out to us and wants us to help
Yeah.
her navigate this transition.
She's pretty independent, and
And so's Carter.
they're both
they're
super
different
independent, but they
personalities.
communicate differently.
Right, yeah.
And they feel differently. It'll be interesting for sure.
Right. And she knows, even if they don't see each other, she knows her brother's there.
Yeah.
He's been there 100 times.
Yep. It's
Like,
comfortable.
She can't say she doesn't know anybody. She at least
She
knows a few
lot of
people.
Yeah.
So it will be a different thing. And then we'll have to grow and adapt to not having any kids at home. And
Yeah.
what does that look like? And the biggest thing is just our reliance on Jesus
Yeah.
and all of it.
And all of it. So, and everything. Yeah. I'm grateful for you and how you've helped walk through this season. So it's been fun watching you grow as a parent. And yeah, I mean, that's just some of the things that we've
Same, yeah.
walked through with young adult children. I don't know. If you're up to it, leave a comment in the comment area about some of the challenges or victories or unknowns, unexpecteds that you've all experienced with parenting young adult children.
Or funny posts
or
that
funny
you've
posts.
seen online.
Yes, we
Yeah.
would love to learn from you guys as much as I hope we're all learning together. And so, yeah, funny posts, something that you've learned or something unexpected. But this time of just talking again, I love talking to you and with
Yes.
you, and I hope everybody else does too. But we'll have more on parenting young adult children, and a lot of other topics as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
So it'll be cool. Hope you take the journey with us, guys.
Awesome.
Peace.
See ya.
Yeah.